Yeah, I wanted to start this off so we can get into the meat of all of this. And welcome to everyone who's going to continue. I'm sure I see the numbers continuing to rise. And so today, so my name's Ivy Cook. I'm the vice chair of the NGO Committee on the Status of Women based in New York. And we have started this series with Malika Dutt, who's a long time, so, you know, over 30 years in the movement for women and girls' human rights, and working in the UN space for a very long time. And she has kindly, you know, offered her expertise in this area of transformation through interconnectedness. And as you know, NGO CSW is the civil society convener of the Generation Equality Forums and all the Beijing 25 discussions that I'm sure most of you are a part of. And we thought that this was so key that, you know, we're focusing so much on what we do for, you know, others in our activism, in our work. And we thought that it was also very important for us personally to be rooted in all these tools to be able to connect with ourselves and, you know, the wider community around us, and the community of activists, and the women's movement itself, for it to become stronger, that we need to build a stronger self. And so we started this in March. The first one was called Presence and Connection. And today is on deep listening and creative collaboration. It's a 4-part series, and I hope you can join us in May. There's going to be 2 then. So you're going to hear, you're going to have a lot of reminders about that too. But May 4th is the next one on generative conflict, and May 18th is building a culture of care and well-being for people and planet. I personally was really looking forward to this, Malika, especially last week. We had a monthly meeting, and I was moderating one of the panels, and the virtual event space is a whole nother kind of space. And I found myself very, very distracted because, you know, there were chats, and then there was the moderating, and there was, you know, texting on the phone. And what you were teaching us last time about presence and connection just kept going in my head. And I'm just like, how do I stay present when I'm like all over, you know, I'm trying so hard and, you know, inundated with all this information. So I really think there's so much to gain from today's deep listening, and hand it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ivy. Thank you so much, Huri. Thank you so much, Devon. I am so excited to be a part of this collaboration between the NGO Commission on the Status of Women and Inter-Connected, which is the initiative that I have just launched into the world. And excuse my earlier enthusiasm for just jumping in without framing how we were coming together. So thank you for that very warm and loving introduction. Welcome, everybody. And I am just in such awe and such gratitude to have so many of you choosing to spend this hour together from all over the world. I know that in some parts of the world where you are, it's midnight. So I really honor that you are taking this time, and I am grateful for your attention to this question of deep listening and creative collaboration. I'm going to just give you a brief outline of how we're going to spend our 45 minutes together, and then we're going to jump in. So I'm going to begin with just laying out some of the general principles of listening that lead to creative collaboration. And then I'm going to lead us into a short awareness centering practice so that we can all really get present with ourselves and where we are right now. We're then going to go into some actual practices of listening, and I'm hoping that we can use the meeting room function of Zoom to create smaller groups where you all can actually practice with one another and also meet people from all over the world. I mean, who knows who you might encounter in your small groups. So we've asked the goddess to really help us along with the technology for today. We're going to come back into group and share some frames from the exercises that we do. And we are going to answer any questions that you might have. And then we'll end with a short collective meditation where we will send our love to the planet, to all beings on the planet, and to ourselves. So that's the quick structure for today. And I am going to just dive right in because we are at 10:15 and it's taken us a little longer to start because we have so many people joining in, which is absolutely wonderful. So at this moment of pandemic, of old structures and old ways completely collapsing, we are in a place of great unknown possibilities. We are in a place of deep uncertainty. We are also in a place of a lot of grief, a lot of anxiety. And as activists, as leaders, as space holders, as facilitators, we are all on this call together to really explore how we might collectively step into this time, step into this moment with as much grace and alignment and centering as possible in order to hold space for the new possibilities that this pandemic might give a rise to. For many of us who have been a part of social justice movements around the world, we have been critiquing many of the structures that have led us to this place. We have been critiquing many of the structures that we can see unveiled before us. The deep inequities in our system are affecting those amongst us who are the most marginalized. We are relying on communities within our many populations who are often the worst paid, the most insecure in their jobs, in their job securities, and yet these are the people that are holding so many of our communities together at this time. We are also saying goodbye to people in our communities, families, friends, colleagues, without the ability to be in ritual together, without the ability to say goodbye. And so we are holding all of these different emotions. And so in this context, when I talk about deep listening, I am talking about it at multiple layers. You know, one is the deep listening to the place of mystery and uncertainty and possibility. The second is deep listening to our communities. The third is deep listening to those who might be closest to us in our families, our partners, maybe in our workplaces, whoever it is that is proximate to us. And then the fourth level is really listening to ourselves. We live in societies and cultures where listening is often very hard because often as activists, we have been advocates. So we are often in a place of trying to advance a point of view. We are often trying to advocate for a change in the system. We are often trying to persuade people of a different way of being around a particular issue, whether it is gender-based violence or economic equality or climate change or anything else. So many of us are in a place where we are often speaking out, speaking at, engaging with people from a place of going out of ourselves. We are also often programmed, even when we are in one-on-one conversations, to not really listen. We have a tendency, if somebody's telling us, oh, I'm feeling really terrible and really sad right now, we often have a tendency to immediately jump into trying to fix the situation. Oh, maybe if you went for a walk, you would feel better. Oh, what can I do to make you feel better? Or why are you feeling sad? This is not the time to feel sad. You should be feeling angry. Like we will often jump into trying to fix or give advice or change the circumstances of the person presenting whatever it is that they're presenting to us. And we do the same thing to ourselves. If we are feeling sad, we will want to check out, or we will not want to sit with our grief, or we will not really want to join in the emotion that is coming through our body because it's too painful or it's too difficult. Or sometimes we don't know how to be with our happiness or with our joy. So learning to listen is, I think, one of the most fundamental building blocks of leadership. It is one of the most essential ways to learn how to be present. And so there are 4 skills or 4 practices around active listening or deep listening that I would just like to quickly lay out for you. And a lot of these actually come from my training and teaching in multiple contemplative practices, my own running of organizations, and from my work in the world of improvisation, taking improv classes where you actually have to really listen very carefully. So the first practice, the first skill of listening is to be present, is to actually be present. And learning to be present means knowing how to check in with your body, with your emotions, with your mind, with your energy body through your breath, perhaps as a pathway to it. And we're actually going to do that exercise together. So skill number 1 is get present. The second skill is don't negate whatever it is that is going on. So if you're feeling sad, be present with your sadness. Don't immediately try to fix it. If your child comes to you and says, Mom, there's a blue baboon sitting on the window, don't start with, are you crazy? What do you mean there's a blue baboon sitting on the window? Be curious. Be like, oh, is there a baboon sitting on the window? How come? Tell me what it's doing, right? Like, don't shut people down, especially not right now. The third skill is how do we move to a place of affirming something and then adding, just kind of like the example that I just gave. In improv practice, it's called yes and. And what it basically means is the sky is blue and it looks like it's going to become green soon. So instead of jumping in and saying, what do you mean it's going to become green? You could go, yes, and the sky looks like it might actually start raining, and move into a place of where you're listening to add something, where you're listening to support something. And the fourth skill is when you're listening to let go of whatever it is that you have as your agenda. So to surrender to the flow and the energy exchange of the conversation so that you can actually jump into new possibilities. So those are the 4 practices of deep listening that I want to share with you today. There's a lot more in this field of work. It's not easy to cram so much into a 1-hour session. So I'm going to actually now lead us into the first practice, which is presence. Those of you who joined me for the first session are familiar with this. We're going to take 3 to 4 minutes to really learn how to get present with and listen to ourselves. So I invite you to get comfortable in your chair. Make sure that your feet are firmly on the ground. Uncross your legs if they are crossed. Allow your back to be supported and just get really comfortable. See if your spine can be straight And allow your eyes to soften or to close. And as you get settled, just allow yourself to come to your breath. Just feel that flow of air coming in through your nostrils and moving out of your body. This air that draws in oxygen that the trees give us to nourish your body, your blood, to make your heart beat. And just allow your breath to soften and lengthen. And notice that every single one of us on this call are breathing the same air. And now allow your attention to drop to your body. And just do a scan. Maybe start with your toes and just move up. Is a part of you feeling uncomfortable, constricted? What are the sensations in your body right now? Your bones, your muscles, your organs, your skin. This miraculous being that is your body. How often do you check in with it? And now slowly bring your awareness to your emotions and your thoughts. What is happening with you right now? Is there sadness? Is there compassion? Are you feeling grateful? Are you bewildered? Are you depleted? Are you motivated? Are you fidgety or are you calm? Whatever it is, there is no judgment. Just allow yourself to feel your emotions and your thoughts. Now bring your attention to your energy body. How is your energy body doing right now? Is it buzzy? Is it feeling bifurcated? Are you feeling oneness? And now see if you can find a part of yourself that is maybe your higher self or your soul, however you want to call that part of yourself. And see if you can hold an awareness of your breath, your body, your emotions, and your energy body. See if you can hold all of yourself. Can you listen to you? Can you be present with yourself? And this kind of presence is absolutely essential for leadership, for listening, for collaboration, for new possibilities. Now just slowly allow yourself to come back into the circle. And as you come back, I'd like for you to just share in the chat what that was like for you. What's a frame? How did you feel that exercise? How did you experience it? What did it bring up for you? And that's another practice, framing. Framing what you have actually experienced or what somebody else is saying to you rather than being reactive to it. Just allowing yourself to frame what happened. Lori says it was calming, relaxing and calming, grounded, vulnerable, feeling expansive, openness, freedom. Clarifying, accepting what is there, connection to my inner compass, empowering, togetherness, accepting what is. So thank you, and keep sharing what you were feeling for a few moments, hope, calm, and fresh. And you know, it's one of those practices that you can do for yourself at any time. It's just a breath away from just checking in and going from your breath to this physical body, to your emotions and thoughts, to your energy body, and then finding a way to be present with all of it, right? And just in this quick couple of minutes that we spent together, we're seeing from the chat box how grounding and energizing it was for it to be able to do that. Now, when you're in situations where you're getting triggered and where you're in an anxious situation, or there's a crisis, or there's been a shooting where a lot of people have died, or you've lost people, it may not be possible for you to actually step out and go off into a 5-minute relaxation exercise or a self-awareness exercise. So what I'd encourage you to do is to find some way in which you can create something for yourself, whether it's coming back to breath, snapping your fingers, putting your hand on your heart, some way in which what you just did can become a physical anchor that you bring back to yourself. So that even if you're not able to do several minutes of this exercise when you're in a situation, you can remind yourself of what it is like to be present in this way, and then meet whatever it is, whether it is your anger, whether it is your sadness, whether it is the other person's emotion. It's really important to allow that quick pause to drop into yourself so that you are responding rather than just being reactive. Yeah. So I'd like to move us now into an exercise that we do in small groups. And we're going to do 2 exercises in small groups. And the first one is going to be an exercise where I'm going to ask Devin how many people we have and how many groups. We are 135 people. So what we're going to do is go into groups, and we'll be there for 6 minutes. And each person will take it in turn to ask the other person, what do you want to tell me today? And that's the prompt. And so for 2 minutes each, one person will ask the other person, what do you want to tell me today? The next person will then ask the other person, and then you'll close the circle, right? And when the person is speaking to your prompt, if they respond to your statement and they finish, you just ask them again, what do you want to tell me today? So you're not going to respond to their statement with advice, or, oh, that's what's happening with me today too, or, oh, I have the perfect therapist that you need to go and see, or, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. You are going to listen with presence and just hold space for that person to share whatever it is that they are sharing. And when the 2 minutes are up, you're going to say thank you and move to the next person. Everyone okay with that exercise? I see that there's a translation request, and I have no idea if Devin can put Yuko and Dr. Ikegawa together or not. So I'm going to let her, yes, Devin can do that. Awesome. That is amazing. So everybody okay with the exercise? Everybody gets what they're going to do? I'm going to ask somebody to be a timekeeper so that you start your clock and do 2 minutes each. We will try and figure out how we can intercede and say 2 minutes are over. Now, when we break into groups, you're going to get a little dialog box on your screen that says, go to meeting. So you have to click on that box and accept that instruction in order to go to the group. And then we can automatically bring you back when the exercise is done, right? So if you all get what I'm saying, for the ones that I can actually see on the screen, can you just raise your hands? Does the fact that some people are not raising their hands mean that they don't understand the exercise? The question is, what do you want to tell me? And that's all. So can I see a raise of hands again? What do you want to tell me? And we get to go for 2 minutes each. And remember, no guiding, no advice, no interjecting your own story, really learning with presence. So give us a quick moment as Devin breaks us into smaller groups.
called World Gloom. And I feel like it's a mixture of anxiety, of fear.
So as we're slowly coming back, I'd love to hear a few frames. How was that? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Was it awkward? Did you hear things you didn't expect to hear? Did you say things you didn't expect to say? So if you'd go to the chat box and just share what things came up for you, that would be great. Welcome back, everybody. As we're slowly regathering, it's wonderful to see some friends. Hey, Ray. Hey, Alex. So good to see you guys. I haven't seen you in a while, so that's wonderful that you're here. Audra, I see you too. And people checking in. Piali, hi. How are you? Sarah. I'm probably going to miss lots of people that I know because the screens are moving so fast, but it's lovely to be here with friends and new friends. Lisa, yay. Hey, how are you? This is like such an exercise in, oh my God, I'm doing this in front of my friends. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. And for all of you who are here from, oh my God, there's Leslie. Leslie, hi, beauty. Ajike. Hey, hey, hey. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Sri, I see your name. Welcome, welcome everybody. Kalyani, great to see you. Lauren, welcome. So good to have you here. And I know some of you are like really in the middle of the night. So I'd even more appreciate that you have taken the time to show up today. Thank you for being here. I hope the translation piece worked okay, Yuko. Oh, good. I'm glad. I am so glad, you know, trying to do translation with all this new technology and everything else. So I want to actually, I'm looking at the time and I'd like to jump into the next sharing exercise, if that's okay with you guys. Is that fine? Yes? Can we just go to the next exercise? So, Huri, where are you? I am trying to find you on my screen.
I'm right here, Malika.
There you are. Okay, so this is one of my all-time favorite exercises from improv class, and this is called Yes and. And basically, it's a class, basically, it's learning the principle of affirming something and adding to it as opposed to blocking something and negating it. So somebody will make a presenting statement, and then you'll take it in turns to go around your group to yes and it. And what I mean by that is whatever it is that person says, you are going to take that as for that moment to be true, and you're going to add something to it to make it flow and grow and move. And it doesn't mean that you have to agree with the statement. It doesn't mean that you have to think that the statement is part of your belief system or anything like that. All it means that in your response to it, you are going to yes and it, and then you can take it and move it somewhere else. But you're going to practice yes anding. So Huri, let's do a yes and together. And I'll start, and I want you to yes and me. So Huri, there is an enormous giant panda in my living room right now.
Yes, Malika, and I suppose it's hungry and wants something to eat?
Yes, and in the middle of this lockdown, I have no idea how to find food for this panda. Do you have any ideas?
Yes, and you can share whatever you have and hope that he likes it.
Yes, and I have a lot of Indian food, and I think pandas are Chinese, so I'm not sure whether my panda is going to like the Indian food that I give it. I guess I'm going to have to start cooking or something.
Malika, yes, and they like spicy anyway. I hope they like spicy.
Okay, Huri, thank you so much. Okay, so I know I used an absurd example, but I wanted you to get the picture, right? I wanted you to understand that whatever it is, because if we start out by saying something like, Huri, it's time to start the biggest campaign against early marriage right now in the middle of this pandemic. And I think the way to do that is to lock all of the men up in quarantine. It would immediately create a different set of reactions, right? Like it would create more neural pathways that are more the way in which we kind of go into either opposing it or fighting it or whatever, right? Like, so do you see what I'm saying? Which is not to say that you can't use a real world example as well. So let's try that. Huri, give me something.
Malika, I actually do think that there should be a shift in the way we tackle patriarchy.
Yes, and it's feeling really difficult to do that as more and more governments become increasingly authoritarian. So I'm not really sure how we can do that and still deal with all of the surveillance problems.
Why don't we start with demilitarizing and taking all the funding from military?
Yes, and we could take the funding from the military and divert it all into restoring this beautiful planet of ours.
Pretty good solution, Malika.
So Huri is doing it, is going off script a little bit. She has to go yes and, right? So you don't affirm it by saying, oh, you don't judge the other person's statement, right? You don't say, oh, that's a great thing. You go yes and you go into the next possibility, okay? So that's a great example of try not to go into, oh, I think that's a great, like just keep moving into the yes and energy of it. Okay, everybody get this? So we have 9 minutes left. We're going to take 6 minutes of our 9 minutes to do this yes and exercise. And it's actually a great way of creating listening and empathy in conversations. So if everyone's ready to jump in, can I see can people raise their hands if they're up for this? Okay, awesome. See a raise of hands? See, I'm all these different screens. I like to see everybody's hands get raised. So I'm going to ask Devin to move us into our small groups. So let's do this. You know, people who have these amazing backgrounds like Julie has of the world behind her, I need to figure out on Zoom how to make that happen.
Yes, I can tell you, Malika. It's quite a simple thing, but it actually depends also on the grade of your computer, because some of them can do it and some of them can't. But
well.
offline, but I'm happy to tell you.
Well, thank you. It looks quite amazing. As
I'm on top of the world.
You are indeed on top of the world. I'm just going to wait. Oh, look at you, Huri.
It feels weird. It's next to your video thing. I just learned it, actually.
You know, when I do mine, I start looking like I'm getting sucked into the vortex or something. So I'm not going to attempt it now. Is everybody back, Devin?
I think that it's a nice quality, but it's also kind of nice to go into the home also and to see the background and see you in context. So
right. No, thank you. Okay, I am being mindful that we are at 11 a.m. New York time, and that our time is officially up. For those of you who have to leave, I hope you enjoyed that exercise. And I hope you noticed the energy that was very different from yes-anding something as opposed to blocking or contradicting something, and to try and explore that energy as we move through this pandemic. For those of you who are able, I would love for you to stay for a short meditation to close us out. And as you are leaving, I would love for you to share any frames from your experience of the session today, the last exercise, the exercise before, the whole thing. And if you'd like to email the NGO Commission on the Status of Women or me with any ideas for how we might do this better and differently, I would really appreciate that too. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody that needs to drop off. And for the rest of us, I'm going to invite us to really, again, settle in, drop in, find your center, find your breath. And as you bring your attention to your breath, allow yourself to drop into your heart. That pulsating, pounding, rhythmic, beautiful organ. Life itself. And draw from that center of your heart and expand your love to everybody on this circle that showed up today. Gratitude for taking the time to come together, to practice, to explore, to listen. And see if you can keep expanding to draw in the people that are serving us with such courage. In our inequitable structures and systems. Send our deep love. Our love to those who have transitioned and those left behind who grieve. Our love to all of the animals and birds and beings that are exploring the earth and showing themselves in ways we have never seen before. And now our love to all beings on this planet, the two-legged, the four-legged, the ones that crawl, the ones that swim, the ones that fly, the ones that are tiny, tiny, tiny and invisible, into the earth itself. And just feel that big arc of love that emanates from your being as it encompasses the entire planet. And now take that love and bring it back into your heart, yourself. Love for you, for the miracle that you are, the gifts that you have to bring. Your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your energy, all of you. And thank you all for showing up today, for dropping into this container together. My thanks to the NGO Commission on the Status of Women for allowing this gathering to happen. Look forward to hearing from you. I send you all my love. And I hope you'll join us for the next session on generative conflict in 2 weeks. And remember to yes and practice, practice, practice. Awareness, go through your body, your emotions, your thoughts. Remember your breath. And see if you can find one other person to practice yes and today. And maybe even practice, what do you have to tell me today? You know, hold place, hold space for each other to listen to what's going on. And I send you so much love in these pandemic times. Your courage, your resilience, your leadership, your love. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Everyone unmute yourselves. Big hugs.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Malika,
Bye.
for your gifts.
Blessings to everybody. Thank you, Malika and the team.
Thank you, Malika.
Thank you, Malika. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you for everything.
Aw.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Malika. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Monica. Goodbye, everybody from Colombia.